So I thought I'd introduce you to my Honda Cx500. Probably saw this kind of in the background of the Suzuki video. So this is my 1979 Honda Cx500. Yeah, pretty simple bike. V-twin shaft drive. I think it's the first V-twin that Honda came out with. I'm sure that I'm incorrect with that one, but you know. So this is one of the earlier years of production, so obviously still got the front single caliper. It's got the twin disc wheel on it though, from the spare parts bike I have in the shed. So it's got a bit of war damage that I'm going to rectify. But yeah, I've had this for a couple of years. Bought it for $500. Bought two of them for $500, I should say. I've got a Honda Cx500C in the shed that needs a bit of work. So yeah, it's done pretty well for itself. Only problem now is it doesn't actually want to run. I'm pretty certain, if my hunch is correct, it's the ignition stator. That's the problem. It's not supplying enough voltage, so when there's a bit of a draw on the system, it just starts dying. So it seems to idle okay now, but yeah, if you really open up the throttle, it just dies. Like the ignition, it just doesn't exist. So I need to go through and whip out the multimeter, check some stuff. But I've decided at this point it's about time for an engine rebuild, so that'll be pretty good. So we'll see how that goes, I guess. New Henge shocks. I rebuilt the carburetors not long ago. Yeah, new starter motor. Oh, new-ish starter motor. But I think it just needs a bit of gussying up and an engine rebuild, so yeah. Okay, so in lieu of rebuilding the Cx500, I cleaned out the shed. It's amazing. Yeah, so got a nice workbench over here. Work lights. Awesome. Being able to do stuff when it's night is fantastic. So decided that I will test out spraying one of the side panels. So grab some blue paint, which was on special, the British Paint Spray Easy Paint and Prime in gloss. So you went for the Brave Blue Gloss paint. It does say not for automotive use. I only found that after I bought it, but I was thinking maybe if push comes to shove, we just put a clear coat over it, and yeah, that should work. So I put 3 coats of this stuff on, the paint and prime on, and there are bits that look okay, but apparently there's more bits that suck that look okay, so I'm going to have to do it again. I'm super convinced. There you go. So you can see that for some reason it was reactivating even though I left it for ages, like up to 12 hours, and I'll just go over it with a piece of cloth with some methylated spirits to clean it off, and I must have reactivated the paint underneath, and it's just kind of come up like alligator hide or crocodile hide, so it looks pretty awful. So that's not amazing, so I'm definitely going to have to do that again. I might just strip it back to the plastic. I don't know whether it's the black paint underneath that's reactivating or it's the blue paint that is, but it's definitely not amazing. So yeah. Okay, take 2, I guess. So bought some plastic primer in a spray can because, you know, that's easy and stuff. Prepped the second panel, and I'm going to use this stuff. Because that is the closest stuff to acrylic, like automotive acrylic, that Bunnings can sell, which is rust guard epoxy enamel. So it's not ideal, pretty much weapons grade paint for fences. So I'm going to thin it with some multi-purpose thinners and run it through a cheap gravity-fed compressor-driven gun. see how it goes. I've seen it look okay. So, yeah. Hopefully we don't need to deal with the alligator skin problem again, although I'm sure there's probably a mix of just me being rubbish and me being rubbish, really. Oh man, it smells amazing in here. Yeah, so I just sprayed it with a plastic primer. I was just amazed. Thought it'd be like etch primer and come out grey, but it's clear. Amazing. Yeah. So it just smells like Warhammer figurines now. It's wicked. Going back to that wicked, sick modelling paint smell, I guess. So they seem to say. And I've got this heater set up here to make sure that just the ambient air temperature being too low isn't a problem. As well as the halogens, it should heat up this small room pretty well. And yeah. After the primer set, I gave the panel 3 coats of paint. A lot happier with the lighter choice of paint, I then began the prep process for painting the fuel tank. As you can see, sanded back my tank. Very sexy stuff. Removed the strange R-Bar Scorpion sticker, or the residue of the strange R-Bar Scorpion sticker on the back of the tank, because you know, R-Bar Scorpion on a Honda Cx500. Makes sense. So now I'm going to clean off the fuel tank with this workshop towel. And then I'm going to bog things. Hang on, I'll see if I can get it to focus properly so you can see what I'm talking about. As you can see, unfortunately there are a couple of dents in this tank caused by some loser who crashed it. Yeah, so I'm going to bog this. I would pull it out, but there's literally no way of getting in there because of the way this tank's built. There is a ring on the inside, so you can't steal like petrol. So I need to either have a stud welder, which I don't have, or be good enough at welding just to be able to not blow a hole inside the tank, which I'm not. So at this point in time, I am just going to bog it and come back to this on a later date when I have a stud welder and I can pull this out and do a better job. So, came through, did a quick shape with this wicked sick new tool. Man, pretty awesome. Stanley Industrial Cheese Grater came through, allowed me to get a nice quick shape. Kind of get the majority of the crap off before I come and sand it with my dual action orbital sander that I have somewhere. And that should minimise on the dust and stuff. Yeah, looks pretty good so far. Kind of cast this across. Yeah. Gonk. Yeah. So obviously need to come through again, get rid of like these poxy crappy bits here. I think there's a bit of a flat spot there. And this is kind of needs a good shape again. But yeah, it's getting there. This bit in here, yeah, needs to be filled. I can do that now because I've got points I can come across and a shape from. Like up the top here, up there, and down the bottom. It's going to be pretty exciting. Yeah, so that's that side panel bit here I was talking about earlier. So that's, I put 2 coats of bog, you know, gave them enough time to set just to make sure, and came back over with my industrial cheese grater. And I worked this way to get the majority of the crap off, and then worked horizontally to try and match it in with the elevation here and at the bottom here to try and pull it in line. Obviously it's rough to start with, but I'll give it a quick sand, and then if I need I can come back through and build it again. But yeah, this tool honestly has saved me so much time. Like, it's hard to do this and film at the same time, but you know, you just kind of come along. There you go. And there you can see, just by doing that, the amount of stuff this carves off is amazing. This allows you to rough it up so quick. Just slowly working my way around and just, yeah, making sure everything's level, and then I'll just kind of make it look sexy. It's going to be awesome. How's it looking? Let's have a look. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, it's getting there. Yes, because I'm not really a quality bogsmith, but it's getting there. So all these stuff's kind of blurred in now, so you can only just, like, there's a bit of a tiny ridge there. Just there. And just here. So I'll put another pass over that. Put a pass over here. And just notice when you're coming down here, you can just feel that bloke there. And if you look here, this comes down. And there's a crease that runs across there. And then it slopes back in, well, to the base. And this is just a bit too smooth of a drop, so I think the crease should just come in there and across and to there. So I'll build it up here again, see if I can run a crease across. And by the time it gets to here, it should be pretty much gone. See if we can do that. That's going to be a fun one. So the primary bogging is done. I've sanded the rest kind of flat just to make sure that, you know, there's nothing coming through. I have wax and grease and removed everything to make sure there's no interactions with the primer that I'm about to lay down. Yeah, there might be a couple of pocks here and there, but I'll let this dry. Put a etch primer over it, and then I will go from there and fill any cracks and crap that I found. So that bottom bit came up pretty well. Had to build this ridge in. There it is, that ridge there. to match up with this ridge over here. I say there's a ridge right there. Can't really see it too well, but it comes out and then drops it back in. Yeah, so it should look pretty good by the time I'm done. A bit of a jump cut. Oh, yeah, so went over this with spray bog. Where is it? It's around here somewhere. There it is. Repco brand spray putty. Came out this lovely shade of teal. Delicious. So I spray bogged the whole tank. Came over and used my Spray Easy Paint and Prime in Brave Blue that I was going to do this tank with originally, but decided that it sucked. So that's what I was using as a tracer. So sprayed the spray bog, let it set for a bit, came over with the Brave Blue and sprayed over the top of the whole tank. Just, you know, not a complete cover, but, you know, just enough just to give it a mist, just to, you know, to show this kind of stuff off. So sanded it down to the point that I can see all of these lovely bits here that I've missed, and it gives me an idea of the flat spots and high spots. So that needs to be filled in, and up in here it needs to be filled in here, and here, down here needs to be filled in. This is the stuff you can't see just as it was. Well, I couldn't see just as it was. Down here I'm pretty certain this bit here needs to be leveled off properly. You can kind of see it there. Was more telling with this chunk here. This is telling me that there's something a tad bit higher that's stopping it from leveling off here. Exciting stuff. So now I have to do more bog, then I have to spray putty it again, then I have to trace it again, and then I have to sand it all back down again, and probably have to do it again after that as well, and maybe even after that again. Bodywork stuff sucks. Yeah. Okay, take two. So came back through, cleaned all the large crap up. Hopefully that should work a bit better. So I'm going to go over it again with the spray putty, then do the exact same thing as I did before with the blue paint to show any of the raised surfaces and see how we go. Okay, let's have a look. So, came through, cleaned it up a bit around here. Already I can see after putting the trace coat down that there's something going on right there. And that's going to become more evident when I sand it. So I've been sanding in a crosshatch pattern, so coming across this way first, just moving along the along the piece, and then coming back the other way, and that should hopefully highlight the places that still need a bit of work. Obviously this bit here, I think that's just a run, so that should disappear pretty quickly. Okay, I'll get down so you can see what I'm doing. So, I've come across this direction, where is it? That way. And you can see already, you can see all these low spots here. Now I'm not super concerned about that, because when I put this putty on, it comes on really splodgy. So when I go over it progressively with different types of sandpaper, I'm starting at 400 grit wet and dry, that will become more and more smooth, and I'll slowly get rid of this kind of rubbishy crap. What I'm more concerned about is this. Yuck. So you can see that there is a high spot, that outline there, just where the tank comes, that ridge sits on the corner of the tank. So there's a bit of a high spot there as well. So I'll give it a bit of a sand, see if I can get rid of it, and if not, turn back to the bog. This is where the majority of the time goes when you go to paint a panel. This kind of stuff takes way longer than anything else. Prep work is key, from what I've heard, to a good paint job. I don't know, I've never really done one, so we will see. Hopefully this will be my first actually good paint job. If I can deal with that and get this flat, get a good seal of primer on it, hopefully that should make things a lot easier. Finally done. I've sanded back the tracing coat. Exciting stuff. And now I get the unenviable task of going back over the whole tank 3 times. Progressively getting finer with the sandpaper. So I have left a couple of kind of pock marks and stuff in. There's a couple of scratches there. There's like a tiny like chip there. There's a dent there that you can feel. There's a couple of like chip marks there, like stone chips, but it's a fuel tank. If I get too anal about it, that's why I'm going to dent it. So I think if I just leave it there, hopefully the motorcycle gods will like take that as a sign and just leave me alone. So I started priming the tank. I used a general purpose edge primer. I ended up actually buying a new spray gun because no surprise here, but the Ryobi spray gun that came free with the tank actually sucked. Kind of looks like I'm hacking at the tank here, and I do actually eventually realise that I look like an idiot, so I stopped doing it like that. So after a couple of weeks hardening in the shed, the panels in the tank made their way back onto the Honda, and the bike was bodged back into commuting service. After my other commuter, Michael's Honda Cx500, tried its best to catch on fire. The Cx500 lasted all of a week before the electrical gremlins struck again, but in that time, it had scored a 100% old bloke petrol station score. Every time I pulled in, some old bloke would run out to congratulate me on owning a lovely Moto Guzzi, and one dude thought it was a Norton. Anyway, I will be putting out more videos on this bike, so feel free to sub and see more of that, and other stuff. Yeah, that would be wicked. You should totally do that. Yeah.